All right, rock and roll. Welcome one, welcome all to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. I am your most happy host, John, and if you could, kindly hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. Feel free to share it with a friend, share it with an enemy. That actually seems to be a little cooler, especially if they're on the dark side, the red side. And if you want, leave a comment. Talk about what I did, what I missed. Hey, it's all good. Believe me, I respond to everything personally. And let's get to it. We are the Scorched Earth. Let's rock and roll and let's burn it all to the ground. And I had a Catholic upbringing. I went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic high school. Do you think I could have charges brought against my parents for that? Can I call CPS on that one? We'll talk about that later. But I went to a Catholic high school. I took 3 years of Latin. Yeah, 3 years of it. Like, one wasn't enough, you know? And really, the only thing I remember in 3 years of Latin was mihi nomen est. That was the first day. The first day in Latin, I remember that phrase. Miss Husong said, mihi nomen est, and basically, my name is. The rest of it was like a blur, you know? It was like trauma, blackout trauma for the next 3 years. Couldn't tell you two things. You know, I was going to be a lawyer. Hey, worked out really great. Now I'm a podcaster. And one of the things we did, and in concert with the English, you know, it was high academic, we read Julius Caesar, Shakespeare's masterwork. You know, some people say Hamlet, whatever. Let's just move on. Everything by Shakespeare, I personally really dug. And there is in the classic play, Julius Caesar, basically, Julius Caesar is the emperor of Rome, and his power is increasing and increasing. And he has an ally. He's kind of like a mentor towards Brutus. And they work together. Brutus does the army thing. He does, you know, he achieves victories for Rome and for Caesar. But Brutus becomes increasingly worried that Caesar is consolidating too much power. So Brutus joins the resistance. Back then, the resistance was actually a lot more pleasing than what we got now. They actually got a plan, kind of like Valkyrie against Hitler, of we're going to assassinate Julius Caesar. They bring him to the floor of the Senate on the Ides of March. Forget what the soothsayer told you, Caesar. Just keep going. And he, on the floor of the Senate, he is assassinated. And before he dies, before that last, he sees Brutus as part of the betrayal. And he looks at him and says, et tu, Brute. And it is a classic line of, and you too, Brutus. Basically like, the most trusted person I had, my most loyal friend, is the one who turned on me. Well, let's get to it and let's talk about et tu, Brute, et tu, Trumpe. Let's get to that. So, we know about the hockey, right? We had all that cute little stuff. We had that feel-good moment. The American men, after 46 years, won the hockey gold. And then Kash Patel goes into the locker room playing a little, you know, jock sniffing, little fanboy, and gets on the phone with Trump. And then he puts it on speaker for the entire locker room. Now, they're incredibly joyous. They literally took something that was so beautiful and they sullied it so much, I wouldn't even take it out with my trash. But let's move on. So on the phone call to recollect, Trump tells the team assembled after their incredible victory, I must tell you, we're going to have to bring the women's team too. You know that, right? If I don't, I'll probably get impeached. Giggle, laughter, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody in the locker room said, well, President, you ought to close the northern border. All right. Obviously, it's a heated rivalry between the United States and Canada. Fun fact, last year at the Final Four tournament, which might as well just been Final Two, the U.S. and Canada, who are the two big hockey powers, Canada smoked the United States not once, but twice. Now, after that incredibly bizarre scenario from our hockey players, and they obviously live in some kind of bubble. Remember this, they're all making tens of millions of dollars. This isn't like the women who literally give up jobs, put things on hold for the glory of America. These hockey players got together for 2 weeks and they achieved something really great. But no matter whether they won the gold or not, they were going back to their $1 million mansions and their private jets. The women sacrificed jobs, money, family in the pursuit of zero money, but the glory of the red, white, and blue. Let us make that equivocation absolutely unequivocally straight. Also, fun fact, in the 46-year gap between American gold, the women won 3 times. Yeah, seems like they're doing a little more kick-ass than the men, but hey, I'm happy for everybody. But then the men had to join in on the derision and the sexism and the misogyny of the women's team. That's so cute. Love those alpha males. Well, then those pussy ass men who claim they're so badass, we don't need no woke stuff. Well, then they went woke. Jack Hughes, who scored the game winner, and literally nobody can go from hero to zero quicker than Jack Hughes did. Let's wait for those endorsement deals really quick. He said, after the backlash was overwhelming, he said, everybody is giving us backlash for all the social media stuff today. People are so negative out there. They're just trying to find a reason to put people down and make something out of nothing. No, Jack, you need to apologize for your misogynistic Jurassic Park nonsense. Just come out and just be a man, be accountable, and just say you effed up. Trust me, America can forgive. Now, I know you've heard this a million times, but we're going to go down the rabbit hole here because there's something I don't think you know what's going on. So, they paraded out there at the State of the Union at the little hockey props for Donald Trump. Okay, hang out with the gold medal, whatever. Next day, Donald Trump knows how to treat people. He brought him to the White House, gave him Big Macs. Yeah, really stretching that budget. Yeah, I can't wait till we have a ballroom when we have the first date dinner and they bring in Whoppers. Maybe we'll get some Chipotle. Yeah, that fat F. But they came into the White House. Look, I understand. They want to enjoy the moment, whatever. The backlash. We don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about a certain individual on the gold medal winning team. Let's get our names straight, John. It's Brady Tkachuk. He's got a brother, Matthew Tkachuk, who is on the team. They are incredibly talented players. Now, Brady Tkachuk plays for a Canadian NHL team, the Ottawa Senators. He is the captain of that team. Obviously, he has a lot of interaction. Basically, the National Hockey League, it's probably 60-40. I know there's some Russians. I know there's some other countries. Let's say 50-40. Canadian, American. It is a rivalry. But on a team, on the 20 or 25 man roster, you'll have 10 Canadians, 8 Americans, 10 Americans. They work with each other. They are with each other. But like I said, it was a heated moment. They defeated their arch rivals, the Canadians, after the little stub the toe last year. Not once, but twice. Well, we had an interesting thing. So Brady Tkachuk went in there, and he wasn't the one, but somebody put the gold medal around Donald Trump's neck, and Donald Trump said, I'm not giving him back. And the problem is he probably didn't. I don't really care. Can we prosecute him for theft? Oh, wait, the Supreme Court gave him immunity against any criminal charges while he's president. Yeah. All right. Hey, better see if they can make a duplicate there. So, and this is just, you want to say F around and find out, but they were in there. And you've seen the pictures and you've seen the videos, and man, they got a new best buddy. The American hockey team. And look, hockey is a more conservative sport. It's not a progressive sport like the NBA. It's baseball. It's a very, very conservative enclave. I get it. They can root for whoever they want, but boy, they were fans. They were fanboying Donald Trump. Oh, he's so good. Oh, I love the Big Mac. Oh, it's so we get fries too. Wow, you're the best president ever. Yeah. Make Big Mac great again, whatever he's doing, right? But it was real chummy. Everything was cool. All the hockey players thought they got a new best buddy, and then they found out not so much. So Brady Tkachuk leaves the White House, gets on his little private plane probably, heads back to Ottawa. He is the victor. He's got the gold medal. Yeah. Viva, Viva America. Yeah. And I like saying Viva because I love throwing in some Spanish, especially in this Stephen Miller regime. But he gets back, and then, wait for it, the White House, you can't even make this up. The White House generated an AI video, kind of like their cute little video they generated about the Obamas. That was a real winner. They generated with Brady Tkachuk. And what he is saying on his AI generated video that the White House put out was, he's talking to the camera. He says, they booed our national anthem. Remember, he's American. So I had to come out and teach those maple syrup eating mother effers a lesson. Now, Brady saw this. He's interviewed by the press in Ottawa, and he's like, I didn't say that. I had nothing to do with that. I don't know where that came from. As we know, the White House has had a very difficult relationship with our beautiful neighbors to the north. We've attacked them, or Donald Trump has, not me, because I love them. I love the Canadians. He's talked about making them the 51st state. We're going to invade them. We're going to take them over, blah, 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 whatever. So now Brady Tkachuk plays for the Ottawa Senators in the capital of Canada. Fun fact. And now, that contract extension you were hoping to get from the team after this AI video, might be a little tenuous there, my friend. Just saying. Just saying. And now he's out and he's like, he feels angry. He's telling the press he feels angry and he feels betrayed, telling the press, it is clearly fake. It's not my voice. I don't know how we got to this. Now, little fun fact, people on social media, we don't know if this is true, are claiming that Brady was the voice in the video said, close the northern border, when they were having their little banter with Donald Trump on the post-game, thing where Kash Patel is just swigging, right? Et tu, Trump A. Brady Tkachuk went in there like the rest of those little hobnobbers, thought they got a new best buddy, and the second they left, they turned on him for political advantage, for political expediency. And you know what? Anybody who's known Donald Trump, who knows what this Trump administration's all about, why are you surprised? You thought he was going to be loyal to you? He used you as a prop. He used you as a puppet. He used you as a BITC, add the H. You guys are chumps. Jack Hughes, all of you guys. And you know what you've done? You've ruined your reputation. As far as I'm concerned, F hockey. F all them. And I am proud to be an American, and what they accomplished was great, but what they did afterwards sullied the entire amazing accomplishment. And all I got to say is, ladies, I love you. God bless you. Thank you for bringing some dignity back to this goddamn country by refusing to be props in the Trump administration's little walk along. All right, let's talk about the Epstein files. Obviously the fervor over the Epstein files is building. Oh, wait, that would be in Britain, where they're actually arresting people. But we're trying to build some momentum. We're trying to get some stuff going. So let's talk about what they did in the Epstein files. They bring in Hillary Clinton to talk. Wow. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. Okay. This is obviously a political stunt. Now, I get the Bill Clinton thing. I think it's a propaganda ploy, but okay, whatever. But his wife? I understand that the right wakes up in the morning, says, I hate Hillary, and at night they go to bed going, God, I hope she goes to jail. For the server incident. I don't know if you missed that in Trump 1.0. Ivanka, Jared, Don Jr., and Eric did the same thing, but for some reason we just forgot that one. Just Hillary. It's just Hillary. Unsecured server. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I'm sure they didn't delete any emails. But we have Donald Trump. They brought in Hillary because she's married to Bill, who's mentioned in the files. And hello? Okay, so that's enough to bring her before the House committee. This lady, God love her, man. I wish the Russians wouldn't have hacked our election. I wish Donald Trump wouldn't have collaborated with them. And I wish Robert Mueller would have had some huevos to actually get in down dirty instead of trying to be the political sycophant that he is and just play the line. I've got to uphold democracy. No, you've got to find truth. And he obviously never really did. He did, but Bill Barr smashed that down. Let's move on. So Trump is mentioned over 50,000 times in the files. Where's that subpoena? Okay. Now, here's something I don't think really a lot of people are talking about. We're going to bring in Hillary because she's married to Bill. Well, I don't know. Who's married to Donald Trump? Well, that's a tough one, John. He's had so many of them. Good Christian guy. Yeah, Melania, the movie star. And let me tell you something. If you made it through that movie, you got a higher pain tolerance than me. Yeah. So Melania actually had a personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Michael Wolff said when she was modeling in Paris, actually Jeffrey Epstein met her there, brought her to America, and actually introduced her to Donald Trump. Wouldn't you think that's somebody you want to bring in who actually had a personal liaison, personal relationship? We know the husband did. We've seen the pictures of Ghislaine, Jeffrey, Melania, and Trump. We've seen them. She had a personal relationship. I'm going to go really out on a limb because this is Scorched Earth. I got a funny feeling the Republican committee, controlled by James Comer, isn't going to bring in Donald Trump or Melania Trump for depositions, just like they did Hillary. So we also, when I saw that, and I will say this, let's talk about some other people that should come in for some depositions. Let's talk about Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Seems like we discovered another picture yesterday. This is being on Thursday. He has a long association with Epstein after in 2005 said he had nothing to do with it. Then, fun fact, we found out he actually started another business with the man. Also, he went to the island of Jeffrey Epstein where the pedophilia was reigning supreme. He brought his family, his nanny, and another family as a bonus. Guess Epcot Center just really didn't cut it for you, huh, Howard? How about Elon Musk? That was the guy who was running Doge. Remember the chainsaw thing? The guy who destroyed Tesla. That guy. He is in the Epstein files too. Do you think the House is going to bring him in for a deposition? Let's see. Magic 8 Ball says, highly unlikely. You know why? Because he gave $300 million in the 2024 political campaign to the Republicans and helped get Donald Trump elected. That's your little get out of jail free card in the Pedophilia Express. Also, let's not forget the other Republican. How about Steve Bannon? Hundreds of texts, including right before Epstein's 2019 arrest, also giving him advice on how to turn the PR around because it's not good when you're doing girls who are 13 and 14. Like, really, how disgustingly sick are they? So now we have chairman of the committee, James Comer. He brings in Hillary. He's gonna tell her. And let me tell you something. What this is, Hillary came in, and she has won. I really wish we could have got a 4-year run with her as president because I'm going to tell you something, and I mean this sincerely. I've seen political figures for the last 30 years, Barack Obama, George Bush, just all. There is nobody, and I mean nobody, who is tougher than Hillary. And now you can go ahead and dismiss her politics. I get it. Okay, you don't have to agree with her politics or what she does, but let me tell you something. I'm going into a battle. I got a wartime president. I want it to be Hillary. She is amazing. That lady went through a 13-hour hearing for Benghazi, that little Republican, let's puff it up so Fox News has something to talk about for 6 effing months. And look, it was serious. We lost soldiers there. Yes, there should have been a hearing about it, but man, they really grilled her. And you know what that lady did? The same thing she did today. She didn't take the fifth. Remember Ghislaine Maxwell a couple weeks ago was in the Senate hearing? Man, that lady took the fifth quite a bit. Like every question. Hillary didn't take it once. Now, when they asked her certain questions, they even brought up Pizzagate. Oh my God. 12 years ago, about some erroneous QAnon nonsense that went on in Washington, D.C., where they were supposedly, trafficking people, and Hillary had something to do with it. And the poor guy who owned the pizza place in Washington, D.C., somebody literally went there with a gun to free the girls. That guy almost got killed because of the QAnon nonsense. Hillary didn't take the fifth. Yeah. Let's see Donald Trump get up there. Let's see him get up there and see how many times he takes the fifth. We're not going to see him. Now, maybe, possibly, it's a theoretical exercise if the Democrats take over the House. But no, it's not going to happen. He's going to just say, I'm not going. What are you going to do? Pam Bondi going to arrest him? Kash Patel? Giggle, giggle. He's their boss. Hello? But here's what Hillary said in one of her opening statements. The committee is fully aware that I have no knowledge that would assist your investigation. Absolutely. In order to distract from President Trump's actions and to cover them up despite legitimate calls for answers. Yeah, right. Now, James Comer said it wasn't a witch hunt, that he's called in some Republicans. Bill Barr. Yeah, right. Really knows a lot about what's going on with the Epstein. Hey, look over at all the other guys I was just saying. Bannon, Musk, Lutnick, and President Trump. Fun fact, I don't think that's going down. Also, she walked out of there. Bill's going to be questioned today, Friday. We're doing this Thursday night, but it doesn't really get published till Friday. We're going to see what happens. And literally, they were trying to hold the wife accountable for actions that the husband did. And look, she doesn't know. Look, these are busy people. They are doing things all over the world, all over the country. I'm not going to tell you what their relationship is because that's their own thing. But I think they are very career driven. Let's put it like that. Hillary does her thing. Bill does his thing. We'll meet at Christmas. Okay? Everybody can do their own truth. They can do their own thing. That's all I'm saying. Just all I'm saying. All right. Let's get to tariffs and the nonsense that's really starting to evolve in this. I'm going to bring up a quote from George Orwell, the master writer of the book 1984. And God, he wrote that, I believe, in the 60s, late 60s. And boy, how amazingly this is just like Nostradamus, like what's coming about the authoritarian regime and how they do the propaganda. And here's what he said. However much you deny the truth will go on existing. Amen. Now, Donald Trump comes into the Oval Office, into the presidency on January 20th, 2025. And for one of his first executive orders is he is going to immediately institute tariffs. Me, big man. Thank God I didn't have to go to jail for those 34 felony convictions. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, God. So let's talk about Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. It says, I'm going to read it, Congress has exclusive power to impose tariffs. Donald Trump read that and said, I'm still going to impose tariffs on the entire country, which is a tax on me and you. He's going to gouge us a little more. Congress has the total right of the purse for taxes. Taxes are the purview of them. They have to approve them. Just saying. Well, immediately, lawsuits got filed by companies and individuals in America against Trump's executive orders for tariffs. And we know that Donald Trump didn't have any master plan. He would just one day wake up, his diaper was maybe a little fuller than the other day, and it'd be 10%, 20%, 50%, 5,000,000%, whatever nonsense number he'd wake up in the morning and say. And, you know, the Supreme Court did not rule on it. I mean, now they waited. Now, understand this about the Supreme Court. If there's a case, they can put it on an emergency docket and resolve it right then. Oh, no, that's not how we do it because we got to delay it. There's in basketball, especially college basketball, back in the day before they had a shot clock, there was this thing North Carolina used to do. It was called the delay game. We're gonna take the ball and we're just gonna pass it around and we're not gonna shoot and we're just, yeah. And that's what they do. They just make it go through a court, judge rules on it, then it goes to the next court, and then eventually the Supreme Court in November heard oral arguments. And then, real quick, 4 months later, they come up with a decision. Like, I'm not a legal expert, but Congress has the exclusive power to impose tariffs. Like, wow, that'd take me a whole 3 seconds to figure out, legally, Donald Trump didn't have the power to impose those tariffs. Fun fact, 3 of the sycophant concierge Republican justices decided Donald Trump did have that power. I don't know. Maybe they read the different constitution. Oh, they were reading the fascist one. The one where they give him exclusive power and immunity from any criminal conspiracies or charges. So, they ruled that last Friday, the Supreme Court invalidated his tariffs. Now, there's anywhere between $140 and $180 billion in there that the government has taken from you and from me. Now, I got to break the news to you. We're not going to get our money back. Like I said, the businesses that imported it, import-export companies, Westport, people like that, when they have a bill for, let's just say $1 billion, when it got to the dock, their product, there was an extra $300 million. You think about that. You have $1 billion in freight, Costco, Target, whatever, heavy hitters. We bring in hundreds of billions of dollars. I would say, and I wish I would, I'm spitballing here. Target probably brings in $30 billion in goods. So if you talk about 30%, from China, from wherever, and they know the tariff because it's different rates. Vietnam's different than, but they're all extraordinarily high. That's $9 billion. I can tell you this. That company wants that money back. They do. Now, you and I aren't going to get it because when you go in and buy an item, you're paying that tariff, but you don't know it. It's not like on Target when you have the little stuffed animal and it's $10 and they go, oh, by the way, $2.50 of this is a tariff. We don't know that. We're not going to get the money back. We can't prove what we have, right? Maybe if you want to get all your Target receipts for the year, or you want to get the app and go, hey, this is what I spent, but it's not going to happen. But these heavy hitting companies are going to put in applications for refunds. We did a story back in December that Costco was at the front of the line going, yeah, we want that tariff money back. And 301,000 American companies joined in that process to apply for the refund on their tariff. Now, when the administration tells you, well, we really can't refund it, they do it every year. They refund 120 million Americans their tax refunds. They have the ability to refund money to corporations and individuals. Yeah, they pay taxes via the internet or electronically, they can get their money back. Yeah, fun fact, right? But Politico, after the $180 billion was stolen in 1 year, is reporting the Trump administration is doing everything in their power to telling applicants for refunds that they will tie up them for years in the court system, and that there is a very good possibility if they do that, that the government will look negatively on that and possibly take it out on them in other ways. Now, let's call it what it is. It's probably not going to affect Target or Walmart that much. Those heavy hitters, they're going to get their money. But the people on the lower level, let's talk about a possible conversation. You've got a company and you've got $20 million coming to you in tariff rebates. But you also have some government contracts with the Defense Department, Commerce Department, Agriculture Department, whatever. Think about that. And the government says, well, if you really want that tariff money, yeah, but your contract's up at the end of the year. We call that threat and intimidation. That's something they perfected in the mob. And the Trump administration's doing that playbook. Just like the Gambino family or the Klein. It almost seems like this is an episode of Goodfellas. How you doing, Jimmy? How you doing? So basically what happened is the Trump administration picked our pockets, stole our money, put it in this little safe for them, and then they don't want to give it back. And the people who actually do have the receipts, who do have the ability and the wherewithal to go in and get the money, they're telling them, well, you can get the money, but wink, wink, might affect future contracts. Wow. Wow. The thief stole from you, plays the victim, and then tells you, you want your stuff back? Well, I'm just going to steal from you again in another way. Like, wow, that is happening. That Politico article, I just looked at it and I was like, wow, how the hell did we get to this point? All right. I am a progressive. I am a very huge advocate for unions. I've been a union member. I love the union. I am a staunch supporter of workers' rights. Right to work, that's just insanity. That literally just takes away all your worker protection, whatever. I don't want to have that podcast today. But the Trump administration is doing a really cute thing, and that started on Thursday. Now, they instituted this policy a year ago, but it was through executive order. Now, they're putting this policy, I'm going to get to it. Stick with me. Hey, have some water. Look, my girl Crystal, we just became best friends. I hope so. Make sure you like and subscribe. But what they did is institute this policy as official federal policy, and it has 60 days to percolate. Now, what is the policy? It reverses a Biden era rule, federal policy, that now it is much easier for corporations and businesses to designate you as an independent contractor instead of an employee. When you go to get a job, and we've all done that. Well, maybe not everybody, but I have. I've had multiple jobs. And you go in for the interview, you do that thing, and then you see if they're going to hire you. Well, during that process, we just always assume we're going to be an employee. Well, the Trump administration is doing their best to be able to allow them to hire you as an independent contractor. Now, what's the big difference? It will reduce the cost of business by somewhere between 25 and 35%. And I got to tell you something. We all know why they're doing it, because that's the parties, those are the entities, those are the businesses who are going to fund the Republican nonsense with PACs, slush money, dark money, whatever. So when you get a job as an employee, typically there is protections. You get health insurance, hopefully. Maybe you get a pension. Maybe you get a 401k. Things like that. Other things we just take for granted. PTO. Just other things like that. Sick days, medical leave, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we just take for granted. Biden actually increased it and basically strengthened it. Let's call it that. Well, Donald Trump wants to claw back those things, and he basically wants them to hire us, allow them more flexibility to hire us as independent contractors. Basically, think about, they want to hire you like you're an Uber driver or DoorDash. You're on your own. Whatever you make is what you get. And they're going to sully it with, well, we're going to pay you a little more. Well, yeah, but it's the package. And what am I talking about is, let's say you're working at a mill, or let's use Costco. Let's say your pay is $25 an hour. Okay. But they throw in health insurance, they throw in a 401k, they throw in PTO, they throw in sick leave, family medical. Those other costs, workers' comp, that's a big one. Workers' comp. They throw in those costs, and your package per hour is $40. That's what Costco has to pay for the total for you to work each and every hour. Now, you don't see that money after an 8-hour day. Costco basically has to put $320 in the kitty. You get $200, and then the government's kind enough to take part of that in taxes. But basically, Costco's paying another $120. Now, if they so choose, because the Trump administration's making it so bloody easy to hire people as independent contractors, they can say, you know what we're going to do for you? We used to pay $25 an hour. We're going to pay you $32. But we're not going to give you health insurance. We're not going to give you all the other things I just described. Now, initially, you're going to think, wow, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to make $240, $256 a day. Wow. The company doesn't have to pay the $320. They just got to pay the flat rate. So they're going to save 20, 25% right there. You think you're getting money, but until you have to go out now and buy your own health insurance, or you get sick and you don't have paid time off, or family medical leave when your wife or your kid gets sick or injured or something like that, and you got that 6 weeks a year. You know, those things the Democrats fought tooth and nail for that we all take for granted. Don't worry about it. You write the work states. You keep going. You keep just digging down there. Now, so here is the statement by the U.S. Department of Labor that was put out today. And like I said, Trump did this through executive order. And basically what he did a year ago is he basically told the companies, these are the rules and regulations. I don't really want to mess with them, but we're not going to enforce them. Remember the TikTok ban? Joe Biden signed it after the law was passed by Congress and the Senate. And it was January 19th of last year that TikTok had to sell to another entity in America because they were so in bed with the Chinese ruling party. And then Donald Trump came in and goes, we're just not going to enforce the law. And we never really saw that on the bingo card, right? Well, he did that also with this, you have to hire people as employees. You have to, the system was created that it basically pushed, I don't want to say forced, but it pushed most major corporations to have to hire you with employees because it gave you a lot more protections. It gave you a lot more benefits. Well, Donald Trump came in a year ago in his executive order and goes, you know what? It's still a rule on the book, but we don't really have time to get to that now, but we're just not going to enforce it. So if you hire people as employees, as independent contractors instead of employees, that's good. You do you. And there's been thousands of lawsuits by people who said they cannot do that. They cannot hire me as an independent contractor and erase all these other things. And basically the Trump administration says, our DOJ isn't going to prosecute it for it. Our Department of Labor is not going to deal with it. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck and Godspeed. So the Department of Labor is going to repeal it. Now it's got a 60-day review, and then we're going to see what happens. It's probably going to be federal policy, making it much easier for them to hire us as independent contractors instead of employees. Now, here is the statement, and you really better be ready for this one. Out of the U.S. Department of Labor, they said, as they tried to ease the rules to make it easier for companies to hire independent workers versus employees, this is what they said. Oh, let me tell you, I literally wanted to gouge my eyes out after I heard it. Spoiler alert, it's not good for us as workers. Their statement read, in part, the old Biden policy, then they cut in, it deprived workers of the freedom that comes with independent contracting. What? Like we're Ronin? Like we're freewheeling? This is Easy Rider. We're getting on the back of a chopper and just heading out to the Wild West. Listen to that one more time. That the Biden era rules that companies basically had to hire you as an employee, it deprived workers of the freedom, let's underline freedom, that comes with independent contracting. Wow. 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 I don't know. I when I saw that, I just said F all. There's F you and F you. Like literally, how is that making America great for the workers? It's making it great for the big corporations so they can F us a little more. Hey, by the way, bend over. That's what's coming. Now remember, like I said, some of the things by hiring you as an independent contractor, like we talked about, no health care, no pension, no 401k, no paid time leave off, no family medical leave. But also there's some other cute little things that probably weren't on your bingo card. I'm going to update. No minimum wage. You're a freelance worker. You're working by the piece. No overtime. Hey, we expect you to move those 100 cartons of whatever it is. But in 8 hours, I can only move 60. Well, that's just what it is. Take it or leave it. Then you got no unemployment insurance. So if they lay you off, you're done. You're actually walking the earth like a Ronin. Literally. I mean, how is this making our country great? He talked about he wanted to help the workers. He has literally gutted it right down the middle. He is cleaning us like a fish he just caught. Everything that we have stood for, everything that unions have worked for, and make no mistake, unions have worked hard. They are on the decline, no doubt about it, because of right to work and all this other nonsense that basically is making our population poor and more disenfranchised as the wealth gap keeps growing between the richest and the rest of us. I think there's a Q rating. And basically, it talks about income inequality. We are at 83. Now, what does that mean? It means there's a huge disparity. To give you a little info, the French Revolution, the Marie Antoinette, when they started cutting people's heads off who were in government, they were at 82. That's where we are. Really, I'm out here. I'm a person on the street. You're a person on the street. Do you really think it's fair? They are rigging the game even more. Donald Trump used that BS and, hey, I'm the guy. I know how to rig the game. I'm going to be the guy for you. He's rigging it even tougher. He's rigging it so he can make more and more money. And all the businesses can. And literally, they are going to break us. That's the goal. You don't want to believe in unions. You don't want to believe in workers' rights. Yeah, okay. But that is collateral. Then what I mean is, let's talk about construction. Okay, if a union worker is making $30 an hour and he's getting benefits, the non-union has to make something semi-commensurate. Okay, they're going to pay you 24. Okay, maybe they're not going to pay you 30. But in order to attract talent and keep talent, they've got to be in the ballpark. They do. It's unions that set the wage scale for this entire country. And literally with this policy that the U.S. Department of Labor is putting forward today, and in 60 days, we're going to see if that's federal policy after public debate. We're in some trouble here. And look, people are going to say, well, I'm cool. I got a job. Okay, I get that. Look, they cut us. This is what government does. This is what the policies do. It's death by 1,000 cuts. You're like, oh, it didn't affect me. I'm okay. But what about your kids? What about your grandkids? What kind of economic security are they going to have when the whole landscape is being blown up right in front of our eyes, just like they're doing with the environment? This is a methodical approach by this Republican fascist regime to destroy everything we hold near and dear. And literally, what they want is us holding on like we're on that door on the Titanic, like, oh, thank God I made it, but everybody else around me died. No kidding. And that's, I just looked at this and I know the economic consequences that are coming because of it. It's a huge, huge issue. All right. That's it for today. Thank you. I hope you have a good weekend. This is on Friday. It's coming out Friday. I will say this. Everybody out there in the East Coast, I'm seeing that the effects of that snow bomb. Honestly, I've lived there. My heart goes out to you. I hope you're safe. I hope your loved ones are safe. We are Scorched Earth. We want to burn it all down. And really, I wish I could send you some sunshine from California, some love from the bottom of my heart because I love you all and you are some brave mofos. And we're standing up to Donald Trump, but boy, I'll tell you what, you've got your hands full. Please be safe. I love you all, and we'll see you soon on the Scorched Earth Political Podcast.